Nick will talk about The Point of Pain, featuring Loren sharing her story in Anchor Worship. Welcome to Anchor Church. We're so glad you're here.
I had a little sister. She was 5.5 years younger than me, and it was a really big deal when she was born. She was like my baby. As we grew up together, because I was so much older than she would follow me everywhere. I would curl her hair, I would take her places, and just really enjoyed her company. I would also terrorize her, and she would terrorize me, just like sisters do. When I got married, she would come visit me and stay for a couple of days, and we would hang out and go do things, and it was always fun to see life through her eyes and her experiences, being that she was so much younger than me, and I was really proud of her. She had come back from a trip, my sister had, and she was sick, and no one could figure out what was wrong with her. And she went from doctor to doctor, chest x-ray after chest x-ray, kept getting told that she had pneumonia, and we didn't think anything of it. And then my mom called me as I was walking out of a movie theater after seeing a movie, and I don't even remember what movie it was, but I remember just standing there with the phone and my mom telling me that my sister had cancer. When I first found out, the things that came into my mind were, cancer doesn't mean death anymore. I thought about how many people have beat it. I thought, we're just all gonna hunker down and pray, because that's what we can do. We're a faithful family. We can all sit there and pray for each other. We can tell everybody we know to pray, and she's gonna be healed. I believed with everything that I had that God was going to heal her, that this was not going to be the end. When I said that to her, she looked me in the eye and she said, you know what? Sometimes God's idea of healing and your idea of healing might not be the same. I know where she is. She knew where she was going. That gives me peace. Still makes me sad. There was a lot of pain there. I don't do grief well.
I can remember staying up singing karaoke with him, the song of the Beatles, Let It Be. I remember getting that call the next night from a pastor saying he's coming over. I can remember him sitting me on my front porch explaining the news. I remember the shivers that went through my back as I heard. I remember the numbness I felt all week trying to make sense of it. I remember the funeral with the line that stretched across the building. I remember meeting his parents, shaking their hands, seeing a pain in their eyes that I've never seen before. I remember being held as I sat through the funeral. I remember the song, Have I Told You Lately That I Love You, as the coffin was brought out of the sanctuary. You and I have something in common. We have all experienced pain. We all share that. And that pain has a way of changing us. That pain has a way of gripping us. That pain has a way of shaping our lives. And so I can remember when my friend took his life my freshman year of high school. And I know for you, 2020 is going to be a similar year where you're going to be able to look back at different pain. Maybe it was the pain of loss of a loved one. Maybe it was the pain of loss of a job. Maybe it was the pain of loss of your senior year. Maybe for you, you're dealing with all kinds of anxiety over the uncertainty, depression over the loneliness. Maybe your relationships are so strained because of everything that's been going on this year. But whatever it may be, whatever shape or kind it comes in, we all share that we have experienced pain. And today I want to talk about pain, but I got to give you a disclaimer right away, is that if you're dealing with the question of how can God allow this kind of pain, if you're trying to reconcile a good God with a painful experience you're going through, then at the end of this talk, you're probably going to still be trying to wrestle with this question, because this talk will not totally resolve all the questions we have about pain. But what I hope to do is I hope to give you a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of hope, and two images that might be able to give you strength as you try to make sense of the pain you're going through. The first image is this. It's a key. So I actually want you to pull out a key right now. Take your time, pull it out, and once you got it, go ahead and comment, "I got my keys." Pull out your key, and I want you to look at it. This image actually comes from the book Leadership Pain. And how it works is I want you to think about all the different cuts and grooves in that key. And think about your life, all the different cuts and pains in your life. And if your life is kind of like this key, then you know that the cuts are actually indispensable to getting you where you need to go. It's because of the cuts in the key that doors will open. It's because of the cuts that you can go to the next level. I think of Joseph. He lived thousands of years ago. He was in a big family, and all of his brothers hated him. In fact, they hated him so much they had this fight over, should we kill him or just throw him into slavery? At the end of it, they threw him into slavery. From there, he was falsely accused and thrown into prison. From there, he was forgotten. Cut after cut after cut. But then, as things turned out, he was actually promoted through a series of events to second in command. And then, through another series of events, he's able to meet up with his brothers again. Well, of course, they're afraid that he's going to take his revenge out, and now he has the power to kill them. But he reassures them. And the words Joseph gives are so powerful. They're words we need to hear right now. He says to his brothers who are afraid of revenge, he says, "What you meant for evil, God meant for good." Those cuts, God's using to craft your future. And Joseph was able to look back on his life and cut after cut after cut, and he was able to say, this was all used for my good, and God used it for good. And that's true for us too. You see, there are things that we will never be prepared for unless we endure pain. Pain is sometimes the only thing that can teach us the lessons we really need to know in life. That's why Dr. Robert Clinton says, never trust a leader who doesn't walk with a limp. Because if you're going to lead in a certain capacity, you're going to have to endure a certain kind of pain. It's indispensable. That is why James says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy." He says, "For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow." So think about what it is that you have endured. Think about not just how the painful experiences could result in you being prepared for something else, but think about how they already have been. Because I can guarantee you, the biggest lessons you've learned, the biggest things you have grown, the biggest times you have been challenged have been because of a painful experience. You know, we remember the good times, but we are fundamentally changed by the bad times. They're cuts creating a key. Well, that's the first image. The second image is of a megaphone, and this comes from a quote by C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis says this. He says, "God will whisper to us in our pleasures. He'll speak to us in our conscience, but he shouts to us in our pain." He says our pains are God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. You see, sometimes we can be distracted. We can be deaf. And God will use the pains in our lives to get our attention. I can think about a time when I was walking to school once and I heard this scream from a dad. And my immediate thought before I saw anything was, this dad is violent, this dad is abusive. What am I going to witness here? It was just this horrific scream. I turned around and what I saw was a 3-year-old boy stepping into oncoming traffic. And everything changed. My perception of the scream was totally different because that scream wasn't abusive. The scream was caring and loving, and that was the most loving thing that dad could have done. And so many times when we experience pain, when we experience trials, we think that God is coming after us. We can't make sense of a good God who would let this happen to me. But so many times, I believe the painful experiences that are happening are coming from a loving Father who's trying to get our attention, who might be trying to protect us from something far worse. But it doesn't feel right at the time. I think about a couple years ago, a painful experience I had had to do with my marriage. You see, if you know me, you know that me and Hannah, we got married pretty young, 18 and 19, which gave all kinds of opportunities for us to grow up together, but it also gave some challenges because we were still trying to learn things as we were doing this together. And one thing for me that I've always struggled with is being this high achiever, being a workaholic, whatever you call it, being so afraid of failure, whatever it is. And so that especially showed up when I was in seminary, and I can remember being so stressed, morning to evening, every single day. I was just working off fumes. But what that did to Hannah was so damaging because so many times, every single day I would give her a look that said, get out of my way. I would give her a comment that would say, hey, I'm doing something more important than spending time with you. And those things began to build up. And finally we had this conversation and it all came crashing down in my mind, and I realized just how much I had hurt Hannah. And that realization was so painful to me. But it was because of that painful experience when I faced reality that I was able to actually bring about change. And so we did all kinds of things. We had a lot of talking about our feelings. We got counseling that was so important. We worked on it. And I'll tell you, because of all the work that we did, our relationship is far better now than it's ever been. And it all started with a painful point that got my attention. And so many times we can look at our painful points and we can say, I don't get why this is happening. But other times we might be able to say, well, yeah, if it wasn't for that, I would have never made the changes I needed to make. You see, Jesus had a strange relationship with pain. Jesus liked pain a little too much. You might think he was a little strange about the way he liked pain. He said some things that were a little out there. You see, before he was about to die, he told his disciples not too many consoling words. He said, "It's good that I go." When his friend Lazarus dies, he says, "I'm glad he died." He says things like, "Blessed are the poor in spirit." He says, "Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are you when you're persecuted." I mean, how do you make sense of Jesus, how he looks at pain? He says, "I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword." Jesus saw the value in pain. But one thing I don't want to get across is I don't want you to just say, okay, pain is good, so let's just slap a bumper sticker saying pain is my friend and move on. No, these images and what I'm talking about isn't this invitation for you to bypass your pain quickly, or even worse, for you to try to console someone who's in pain with a cheap cliche. No. These are invitations for you to sit on it, for you to reflect, for you to embrace the pain. I'll tell you, the times in my life where I have sat on my pain, where I have embraced it, where I have felt the hurt of betrayal, the hurt of failure and disappointment and discouragement, and I sat on it and I ugly cried, I'll tell you, those times were not pleasant. And afterward, I felt horrible. I felt exposed. But looking back, I know that those times were so important, and God used those times of embracing my pain, sitting on it, to transform me and to heal me. And that's my challenge to you. What is the pain you need to sit on a little more? And as you do that, I want to encourage you right now that God is closer than you could imagine. Listen, God doesn't just hear your shouts of pain. No. Jesus is far closer. Jesus is actually shouting alongside with you. Because as you shout in your pain, Jesus is shouting from the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? Jesus is with you in your pain. He understands your pain more than you could ever imagine. And so right now I invite you to pray with me, but not just a prayer to pray a prayer, but a prayer of agony, a prayer from deep in your soul. Would you pray with me a prayer to actually give God over your pain? Dear God, we need you to meet us in our pain. Jesus, we see you on the cross, screaming in agony. We know, God, you can relate to us. So would you bring about healing, bring about breakthrough as we endure this pain, as we face the facts, as we reflect on the hurt that we've experienced. God, would you heal us? Would you meet us here?
I give you glory for all you've brought me through. And now I'm ready for whatever you want to do. I'm moving forward to follow after you. And now I'm ready for whatever you want to do. Your presence is an open door. We want you, Lord, like never before. Your presence is an open door. So come now, Lord, like never before. In every season, your grace has been enough. And I'm believing that the best is yet to come. The cross before me, my hope on things above. And in you, Jesus, the best is yet to come. Your presence is an open door. We want you, Lord, like never before. Your presence like never before. Your presence is an open door. So come now, Lord, like never before. So come now, Lord, like never before.
Thank you so much for watching today. We realize that today's message might have triggered some things in you, and if you need to talk about that with a professional, there's no shame in that. So please reach out if you need recommendations for a Christian therapist in the Champaign-Urbana area. We'd love to connect with you. If you're new to Anchor, or if you'd like to connect with a group to talk more about the topic from today, or if you'd like to find out more about how to have a relationship with Jesus, please go to anchorchurchil.com/new. We would love to connect with you and get to know you better. If this video was helpful at all, please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time.